Oh, good day folks. Welcome back to the channel. Today's video we'll be talking about the 2020 Specialized Stumpjumper ST alloy. If you're interested, then just keep on watching.
This is my review of the 2020 Specialized Stumpjumper ST, which means short travel, and I am reviewing the alloy version, which is their budget entry-level version of this bike. The 2020 Specialized Stumpjumper is one of the best budget full suspension trail bikes on the market. It has a long history and great reputation in the world of mountain biking, and offers wide range of models from the ST alloy, which is what I'll be reviewing today, all the way up to the Carbon S-Works model. Within the range there are options for everyone, but I'm most excited to share my review of this budget mountain bike that most any rider can obtain. If you are here as a beginner mountain biker, please share your thoughts in the comment sections below. As a bonus, at the end of the video I'll cover some concerns that beginner mountain bike riders might have regarding the price and why there are so many options when it comes to big name brands. My review is going to cover 5 likes and 5 dislikes of this bike, as well as some details behind those choices. Let's take a quick look at my 5 likes. Price, branding, ride performance, stock components, and customization/longevity. The price is the main reason why we are all here. This is the best deal at the $2,000 price range. Very modern bike with everything you need to ride aggressively and comfortably. If you are wanting this bike but don't have the total funds today, you can also check out your local bike shop to see if layaway is possible. This was an option at my local bike shop. It's called the Bike Shop Ormond. So if you have a bike shop or you're local to this area, then go check out your shops and see if they offer a layaway option. That's a very good way to get into a more high-end bike without putting all that money down initially. Let's talk about branding here. Specialized has deep roots in history in the world of mountain biking and cycling. I mean, look at Peter Sagan. The Stumpjumper was the first mass-produced mountain bike in 1981, and it continues to push the limits of our riding. They also offer a lifetime frame warranty to the original owner of the bike, and even extend that to a second owner for up to 2 years after the original purchase date. Okay, so if riding performance wasn't there, then the price wouldn't really matter, but this one isn't shocking. The ride performance is really great. The bike is stiff but responsive and loves being in the air. For a big 29er, this is the most comfortable and nimble bike that I have ridden. The stock components are very good. Specialized sets up the rider with the keys to success here. The primary important components such as front fork and rear shock, bars, dropper post, and drivetrain are all very trailworthy and won't warrant upgrades unless you are planning on sending rampage style lines. For typical trail riding, these parts are meant to be ridden and will work. This is not typically the case for many budget bikes. That leaves me with the last topic, customization and longevity. Since this frame set is very much future-proof and likely to be for at least 5 years, the customization factor is really fun. Having a bike that will look good in 10 years is important because most of us can't upgrade parts immediately. It could take several years to get a bike to that final form, and this one should outlast the urge to continue that buying-selling cycle. Now let's quickly cover the 5 things I don't like about this bike: brakes, the weight, carrying speed, and the pedals. I could only think of 4, so those are it. There isn't much of a list outside of component performance, so that's what I'll be discussing. The brakes. This is one of the most important parts of the mountain bike. Like I said, most of the components are great for typical trail riding, but the second you start to push it and need to slow down, the lackluster brakes become very apparent. Again, if you aren't blasting down a mountain or freight training through single track, this likely won't be an issue, but if you're someone who rides aggressively progressive, then the brakes are the first upgrade on this bike. The weight. At nearly 33 pounds, or 33 pounds, this is a chunky boy, and if you're in the UK, that is 14.9 kilos. If you are blasting down a mountain, it might not matter to you, but it definitely doesn't help the poor braking situation, or the folks who ride flattish single track. To combat this, there are several parts that can be replaced and improved on, but instead of muddying up this video, I'll make a budget mountain bike tips video and cover this very topic. So don't forget to subscribe and hit that belly button to be notified of when I post a new video. Flat speed and off the line. This is becoming a pattern. The three biggest issues I have with this bike are all very much intertwined, but also very possible to change. I notice immediately that this bike is sluggish on flatter trails, but it's much more apparent off the line than when momentum is gathered. If you are a new rider, this will either be very noticeable to you or you won't be able to tell any different. Adjusting my riding to this was very easy, and it actually made me more fluid on the trail due to the overall performance of the Stumpjumper. And lastly, the pedals. I know this one is a bit more obvious and easy to improve, but I wanted to test this bike stock. That means how it came from the shop, no improvements, because that's what most first-time riders are going to do. These pedals are a no-go. From the first ride, they were less than ideal. The nylon pins, which are intended to grip your foot, had no effect, and for some reason they really like gathering mud. A couple months in and the pins are hardly intact, and now they're zero grip. I've had maybe 5 pedal strikes out of the numerous rides I've ridden on, so if you are planning on doing anything beyond beginner double track, these are definitely needing an upgrade. So here's my takeaway on the 2020 Specialized Stumpjumper ST Alloy. This is a bike that was suited for the rider, even at the very entry-level marketplace. It will have a long life, and the stock components are meant to be ridden, not immediately swapped. I think Specialized wants the Stumpjumper to stay true to its roots. The essence of adventure engineering with an appetite for the great outdoors. That was sourced from a Specialized advertisement in the 1980s. If you were here just for the review, then thank you for listening and watching. My name is Larry, and this is Your Own Adventure. Don't forget to go out there and create your own however you can, and spread some positivity. I'll see you on the next one. If you are a beginner or new to riding, and you wanted to hear the tips that I had for you at the end of the video, then sit back and listen to this. It's Larry's bonus mountain bike tidbit at Your Own Adventure. So yeah, it's crazy to spend $2,000 on a bike. That's as much as a car. Like you, I felt the same way about the pricing of bikes, and I honestly avoided paying anything more than the bare minimum for a majority of my riding experience. But when I made the conclusion that mountain biking was going to be a large portion of my lifestyle, I began seeing the light, and that $2,000 price point wasn't as crazy as it first sounded. Unfortunately, I had already purchased a mid-level hardtail which cost me about $500. That's about as low as you can go on pricing while still maintaining a resale value, along with a decently upgradable frame. The kicker about doing this? 1, I could have hated mountain biking, resulting in a wasted $500. 2, and more likely, I end up spending more than the price of the bike in parts and having a headache. Pretty much all the components on a sub $500 mountain bike are going to be replaced, leaving me with an excess waste and investing money into these parts that won't provide increased returns if I was going to sell the bike. I'd essentially make the money back on the bike and give away the nicer parts, but be left with the waste. In my situation, I actually use the parts to build other bikes, but others will likely just sit on the parts and they'll take up space. What does that have to do with $2,000, you say? Well, with the 2020 Specialized Stumpjumper, you're getting double the performance, being that it's a dual suspension, and better components that won't need to be replaced immediately. These two factors are the only two things that most beginners or any trail rider are worried about. And if you invest up front to make them a non-issue, you'll only have to worry about shredding the trail. If you're going to pay the bare minimum for a bike, let it be this price point. If you're wanting to experience trail riding a couple times a year, rent a bike. If you aren't sure where you fit in, go rent a bike or look for a demo day in your area. It's free. And when you end up loving riding, trust me that you'll want a bike that's slick, fast, and bouncy. None of which happen on a sub $500 bike unless you plan on doing a lot of tinkering. That was just my unwarranted advice for anyone listening. Thanks for coming by. This has been my podcast.
All right.